Hey there, hello. Welcome to the Calderone.art channel. Starting off the new week, our first week of September. We're that much closer to spooky season, Halloween, and we'll be getting into a lot more inking, India ink, ink wash, maybe a little bit of watercolor, um, horror themed content, scary stuff, zombies, monsters, everything we can think of for spooky season. But before we get into spooky season, we got some business to attend to. I'll be starting up here in just a couple of minutes after I get all of our streams confirmed, ready to go, and running. I will be streaming today on Twitch, YouTube, and Kick. Instagram, TikTok, X. I'm going to go ahead and hold off on those for now. Let's check all of our streams here, make sure everything is going good. I'm going to go ahead and mute and let you guys listen to some background metal music that will be playing throughout the stream. And as soon as I get back here in a couple of minutes, we're going to start up with our figure study to warm up and then go into our comic book illustration, and we'll be streaming for at least a couple of hours today. Thanks for hanging out if you're with me right now. I really appreciate it. Be right back. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Timer is up. I've got everything set up over on Twitch TV under Calderone.art or Calderone.art, and YouTube, excuse me, YouTube Calderone.art, and then Kick Calderone.art. So you'll find me there on those three today for the stream. We'll be going for a couple of hours. We're going to start off with setting up our 14 by 17 bristle board here. It's 14 inch by 17 inch. And I'll be working with a half sheet to draw out with graphite our figure study today. I was considering doing some ink. I could still... maybe. That might be kind of fun, actually. Let me consider that. So let me go ahead and go over a couple of things real quick. Yeah, so I'm going to be streaming for a couple of hours. And what you're going to see here is... boop, 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 boop. We're going to start off with this screen. I'm up here in the corner with my cat Kaiser. That's just a still of him. That's not a real cat. He's sleeping somewhere. And I have a camera set up on my drawing table and a figure study reference set up on the screen as well. That's gonna be the companion to this illustration to start off for this stream. I have a vertical setup going as well. That's also running on YouTube. I typically use the vertical setup for Instagram or X. But I'm not running those today. Once we've done our figure study, we'll go ahead and jump into the Mission Decontrol comic strip that we were working on last week and that I did not work on over the weekend. It's been a busy weekend, so I have a lot of catching up to do because no artwork got done over the weekend with the holiday and had birthdays and stuff going on. Lots of things going on. So it was sort of a time away from the drawing table. A little bit longer than I wanted to. Bots are out. But today is going to be my plan to get back into the groove of the Mission Decontrol comic strip. We'll keep working on that this week until we get that inked out and then ready to post. It's going to be a black and white comic strip. I actually have that hanging up here on the wall next to me. We'll see that here shortly. And what else? In the background, we do have, and I'm sorry for this, but it's the only resource I have, but I am playing in the background AI-generated metal music that's just on the 30-minute loop. It's just generic music to have in the background to go along with artwork that I'm going to be creating. And every time I draw, I listen to metal. Unfortunately, I do not have the rights or do not have the licenses to stream all of the popular heavy metal that me and maybe a lot of other people listen to. Just can't share it because I'm streaming on multiple sources right now. In my ear, I am playing a Spotify playlist, so if you see me banging my head a little bit, it's not to the AI music, I promise. What else? What else do we got going on? Other than that, it's all traditional this week. I don't think I'm going to be doing any digital work. Once we finish up our page, like I said, I would like to get into some spooky stuff, but to list out what needs to be done this week, I do need to work on the comic strip, more studies, and the Wolverine fan art that I started a couple of weeks ago. I was in the middle of other things when I started that, so those things had to be finished up first. So we'll be getting back to the Wolverine drawing this week, hopefully, but this first. Let's rock and roll. I have my 14 by 17 bristle board in a horizontal orientation, so it's wider than it is tall. And what I'm doing is I'm setting a halfway point running along this 17 inch. I'm going to try to back the camera up as best as I can, but that's as far as it goes. I'm sorry. But that gives you an idea. We're going to go along the 17 inch length and divide that in half using our T-square ruler that came with this table. This is a cool little ruler. It's my other ones are too long, so this one's like the perfect size. It may not be plumb precise, but it gets the job done. It's close enough. I'm going to set 8.5-inch marks on the top and the bottom. So I got one up here already, right here, and then I got one down here as well. To make sure I have all this lined up with a nice 90-degree angle, I have the bristle board lined up with the edge of the table. Boop, boop. There we go. See it a little bit better. Sorry, you got to see the floor too. But that T-square runs along the edge, and it keeps things perpendicular with that edge. That way I can rule things out and keep it precise. I'm going to turn my paper around. I'm going to set the ruler along that 8.5 edge. And the only reason I'm setting up this halfway point on this paper so that I can use this smooth bristle board paper, Strathmore brand, I believe. And it'll be, roughly, just a little bit larger than an 8.5 by 11 size sheet for both. And then I'll just do one drawing here, one drawing there. So tomorrow, when I come back to stream, we'll use that right panel. I have not drawn yet today. I have not drawn. I've hardly stretched out, and I'm going to apologize and warn ahead of time. I've been up for a couple of days, and I'm pretty darn tired. So I may be mostly quiet during the stream, but I have a lot of warming up to do. So I'm just going to take my time with it a little bit. I want to get this drawn in, within a 45-minute time span. That way I have as much time as possible on the comic strip page, which is designated just for stream time, unless I have some offline time to work on it a little bit. All right, we're going to be a little bit crooked. We're going to start off with this camera adjustment. Oof, I almost accidentally ended stream. Occasionally I do need to go back and forth with setting camera or doing a focus check on the camera along with an exposure check. I don't use automatic adjustments, or it's going to keep going back and forth automatically and it won't stop. Just the way it is. I think this is okay, but let me get a piece of paper here. And throughout the stream, I'll have to do this regularly as I move the camera around. I'm going to go ahead and move this like this. You can see it a little bit better. I'm going to bring my light in. It's as bright as it's going to get. There we go. It's probably as straight as it's going to get. There we go. Let's start off here. It's hard to tell from my perspective on the computer monitor looking at Streamlabs. My view screen is kind of small. It's not full screen size because I have a lot of things I have to look at once. Let's take care of this bot over on Kick real quick. Come here, buddy. Click and bond. You've been bond. There we go. I'm sure I'll get another bot pop up. Okay, Streamlabs is recording. Everything is streaming. let's go ahead and start drawing in our figure. I don't think I've done this one yet. I've had this one this might be kind of a little bit small to start. I feel like there is a sort of center line of action. It's, you know, sort of in her spine, or sort of movement with her hands, and the way that she's sort of twisting, the way that she's posed. She's implying, you know, I can see her, like if this was an action movie, I can see that right leg lifting up, the knee lifting up, and then that heel swinging around smack upside the head of, you know, some bad guy ninja or something. It's going to be really light at first, and I don't want to go too fast. I don't know if it's the camera, but that front arm looks bigger. Maybe it's the figure itself. Okay, you're starting to see a little bit of very faint graphite lines where I started off down here on the foot, where all the weight is really being placed, and that's sort of her stand. From there, going up the calf to the thigh, and the right leg sticking out, sort of mark that in, threw in my sort of action lines based off of where arms and legs are, and yeah, you can see just a little bit, maybe a little bit of the head here. Okay. All right, that's right hand sticking out like this. Let's make sure that's lined up in my past studies. So last week I didn't really do any studies, did I? I mainly focused on the comic book stuff. I don't recall doing any studies last week, but the week prior to that, we worked with gray wash or ink wash study, figure studies. Made lots of mistakes. Those are in the video on demand streams over on Twitch, and YouTube is my main collection of videos and will be my main platform for all my video content, and then spreading that out, you know, wherever else. Nice quick adjustment here. Let's see. Let's get rid of this. Sorry, I'm just making a quick message and making some window adjustments. Let me zoom in a little bit more on that. There we go. Making some light marks, or we're going to have some deeper shadowy areas where there's a sort of skin rolled in a little bit or wrinkled in. I went offline there just a little bit, or off track on my line that I was drawing there. I can see her chin a little bit more down here. Yeah, I'll probably be a lot more quiet here as I'm drawing. A little bit sleepy today. So not to try to get everyone yawning or tired after a 3-day weekend. I may mute every now and then. Let's see. I wish I could cut this paper in half, but that's okay. Edge of the gluteus maximus that's sticking out furthest to the left. Looks like it lines up just outside of the armpit area. So I want to make sure that I have that right, because I think my biggest mistake in previous studies is just getting the proportions wrong. But also, you know, the occasional skill issues of just not being able to render it out very well with, you know, whether it's a ink wash. Oops, probably shouldn't put that line there. That'll line up here. And as I'm throwing these lines out, I am doing a little bit of a twist or a little sort of a fake out there at the end and kind of curve it or twist it a bit so that I get where, you know, the back of the calf rolls into the back of the knee when the leg is pulled up in that way. And to see where this is lining up, because this is where I start to get into a little bit of trouble. And I'll just use a simple let's see, it's about right. Backside. Muscle group right here, the back of the leg. Don't remember the name. I'll have to do my poke a muscle game again and remember these muscle groups. Okay. I may have this backside twisted a little too much towards me, so we'll see how this starts lining up. Almost looks like there's a shiny area on there on the clothing. I'm going to correct this area over here too. May have the top, sorry, just grabbing my eraser here. May have this top a little too narrow, and I need to capture this right here a little bit better. I didn't check that as I was darkening up those lines. Didn't check it as well as I should have. Okay. I think I'll just continue with graphite. I'm not going to use ink today for the figure study, but I think over here on the right side, when we do the figure study tomorrow, I'll just use straight ink, and I'll probably a quill pen, and then another time India ink with a brush, just to try different tools. And I got technical pens as well, but doesn't, I mean, I'll do that. I should do that too. It just doesn't feel as challenging. A little bit of an ear back here, but not much shown. Okay. Let's go ahead and bring the camera in a little bit more, since I have this sort of laid out. Get this pencil a little bit sharper. Don't want to make her face too masculine looking, so I do need to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Let's get this, some more of this graphite sticking out. There we go. Oh, well, that's one of the reasons why I'm off here a little bit, is because I did not finish drawing in this area here. She's got a little mole right there. Or is that a necklace that she's wearing? Looks like she's got a mole right there. Like a beauty mark or something. So I'll add that in. This out because her pectoral muscle and shoulder should be sticking out more than what I have on here. Okay, how am I doing on time? Oh, 40 minutes already? I don't think so. And I am recording. I've been recording for 38 minutes. We'll take 5 minutes off of that time. For the introduction time. I'm going to speed up my shading here a little bit. Have some fun with it. Just throw it on there. I'm holding the, I have my hand choked high up on the pencil, so I don't have too much pressure on it. And so I can get away with more of a softer sort of scribble or blend of it. Pencil's caught on my glove there. See muscle definition here on the gluteus maximus and her backside here in the thigh. Less of a figure study today and more of just a, not really a gesture, but just a rough pose. There we go. Had to fix the hair a little bit so it was more feminine. I'm trying to get in some more detailed shading here, but I may not get very far with it. Like I said, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this. I just wanted to get a rough figure study in and then get it shaded in as best as I can. If I had a tortillion, I would go through, blend this out a little bit more, a little bit better. Hopefully you guys can see everything okay. Alright, I may be a little lacking on the butt department here, but I feel like I got a good... looks like she's off to the right just a little bit. I'll let you take a look at it for just a few seconds here and show how straight it is. Let's move the table there. There we go. I see she's sort of leaning forward a little bit. So starting out, and this foreshortened arm is super tricky. Kind of a weird position on the hand here, and I don't have a good view of it, but I'm not zoomed in on it. One of the things I'm definitely practicing with as I'm working on this, and I guess really this is just a pencil warm up for me, I guess. As much as I want to do a figure study, I'm warming up my hand for drawing. With different angles of strokes, different amounts of pressure and direction of pressure, such as, let's see, where was I? I'm sort of pushing it into the left. You'll probably hear me hitting the paper a lot. Okay. I like to at least get in as much on the face as possible. Okay. This leg should be... I must be using a sharp area. It's coming out really dark. Let's see. Move it over a little bit so you can see it better. I guess I am practicing sort of hatching a little bit with the pencil. And back leg here may be a little too thick. I think I needed to curve in more here. It's pretty... I'm going to see if I can add in some highlight. I don't have enough, a whole lot of shading down on here. Okay. And smudge everything in here as best as I can. I know I really just want to keep going on this for a long time, but I can't. Much as I want to. That would at least give me more time to work on the hands. And I kind of goofed up right here a little. Let me straighten it up. I got the essence of it, right? Captured the essence. Proportions are a little bit better than what I usually do. This backhand needs a little bit work for foreshortening and capturing the foreshortening and what I observe. Let's see, my timer says 50 minutes for how long I've been working on this. I'm going to go ahead and stop there, which would, I'm going to say, roughly 40 minutes total. I'm not stopping the stream, I'm just stopping the figure study. And then we'll move on to the comic. Yeah, I need to... Oops, that's not that dark. I'm daydreaming a little bit as I'm listening to music and getting this artwork going. Okay. I need to get this little bit of area down here darker to match the underside of the other leg, and then we will stop there. I'm practicing a little bit with pushing pressure towards the end of the stroke versus applying a lot of pressure throughout the whole line. I would love to sit here and do really soft hatching, shading on here for like a good few hours. And that would look really cool. Maybe we'll do a special day where it's just the one figure study. I see some really nice figure studies online by other artists that are streamers, and definitely inspired by what I see. Whether they're using digital tools or they're using traditional tools. Oh, you know what? I never turned my little light on my camera. I'll do that here in a moment. Alright, I gotta stop, or I'm just gonna keep going. Be careful with that eraser, because you do not have a Control Z with traditional tools, or Command Z. Shadow. Cast shadow to Top it off. Little hard to see if it's not under the camera. It's really hard to see, but I promise there is some shading going on there for this cast shadow. It's just not really dark. I'll go through and just kind of smudge it a little bit. Get my fingers dirty. My finger. All right, let's sign this. I'll cut it out later. Got lots of extra paper on there. Focus check. Roundhouse kick. Psh, right in the face. I'm sorry if the camera's shaking a little bit. Let's try that. Looks decent enough, and all I want to do is just sign it. Yay. Whoosh. Just kidding. Not gonna throw it. Mission Decontrol is a space industrialist in the 30th century. Let's switch over to our camera. Decontrol is my avatar for the game Star Citizen that I play once in a while, almost nightly for a little bit. Alright. It's going to be tricky if I can't get the whole page in. Okay. Mission Decontrol. Decontrol is a space industrialist in the 30th century. In our first panel for the story, Decontrol is talking to himself and thinking in his head. Taking a job in space means crap for comp or cargo that ain't worth the wear and tear. How the hell did I get both? That's my dumb luck. The destination is what piques my interest. Golden Hill Station. where the big guys go to flex their credits. Ha! Can't wipe the smile off this face. He's expecting to make a cargo hauling, or his destination for cargo hauling, turn it into a more profitable trip. But on his way through hyperspace towards that destination, all of a sudden his alarm goes off and his ship is pulled out of hyperspace. His hyperspace has been canceled. He knows exactly what's going on and why, but he says out loud, "Welcome to my humble home," said the spider to the fly. Just outside of his ship, in open space, in our final panel, his ship is a decontrol's cargo ship is surrounded by pirates who have pulled him out of hyperspace. Cargo pilot, power down. Prepare to be boarded. Your ship is now the property of, and we'll write that in a little bit later. And then at the bottom, for our cliffhanger, our final caption box, you won't guess what happens next. Till next time. I'm sorry, it's since I'm running on just a little bit of sleep to no sleep, I get lots more brain farts. So I apologize about that. Where we left us off last week, so Thursday was the last day last week that I streamed, working on the Mission Decontrol page. To do a quick rundown of what exactly is going on with this fun little project that I've been streaming with since before last week, actually, where we went through and kind of sketched things out. And then last week, throughout the few days last week, I think Monday through Thursday, that is when I went through, cleaned up the pencils, made a lot of corrections, changed some things. The composition, layout, the story flow, the way the panels worked, all stayed the same, with the exception of just maybe details of what's in the background, how things fit, how I want them to look, how I'm also going to draw them so that on the next page it's easier and quicker. And after all those changes, I still need to do like the title up here. I need to redo that because I erased it, and I need to reline up the text a little bit, and then down here finish up the pirate ships and our final blurb here at the bottom. So today we'll continue the penciling, working with the pencil and graphite and drawing in here. We'll see how long I can go. I have, let's see, a little over an hour, and that's about it, before I have to stop and take care of some other business. So we'll keep the metal flowing. I may work silently for a little bit, or without chatting as much. And so last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, unless it was just Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'd gone through and drawn in more things. I darkened in areas where I wanted it darkened. I added in pirate ships that we sort of did a little concept art drawing for, to get an idea of how we're going to draw specific ships that we'll use for the story. Decontrol ship is a big cargo train, and he flies that out in space. It's a specially modified train engine with cargo cars, and then I'll figure out a caboose another time, which I think would be pretty fun. the whole story surrounding that is it's something that he's grown up with and that he's taken care of. He knows how to maintain. He knows how to fly this vehicle. He knows how to, like I said, maintain and fix it. He knows all the ins and outs. And so it's definitely got some value to him. It's a weird ship idea to use a sort of train concept, and you see that down here in the bottom left next to the cover mock-up that I did with that reference. That sort of shows what I had in mind for his train car cargo ship, right? Which was originally a land-based cargo train, but was modified to be space-worthy. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of all that. Let's just have fun with it. I think that would be pretty cool, actually. Imagine how much more work you would get done being able to haul a lot more material at once. Now, I mentioned this being based off of a video game character. I'm going to do my best to keep it away from that video game. I'm just going to use that as sort of reference idea to the story concept. This is I'm hoping to do some sort of cyber noir, cyberpunk kind of futuristic science fiction story. That's a lot of words to describe what I'd like to do with the story. But I'm not overcomplicating it. I just want to have a fun comic strip of this character doing random things. Okay. I'm going to doodle in here in the title and work with that. Draw that out a little bit and do a focus check. Am I on the right one? How is that not the right one? Let's try that again. There we go. It was not working before. We'll apply it, but keep the window up. Hide it. All right. I just really messed up that eye. Have to keep that in mind. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the N is in the middle. Oh, got a tangent there. Dang it. I should probably put a baseline on there, at least. Turn it upside down because my keyboard is in the way. And what I mean by just a baseline for these letters to rest on so that they're lined up. See, I was thinking a couple hours for the stream. That sounds about right. Man, this time is flying so dang fast already. Mission decontrol. I'm going to scribble in some shading. I don't want to say scribble in. Adding in my background area. It's just going to be solid black because it is a star field. So all this will basically be black. When I ink it, I'll have a little bit cleaner lettering, a little bit. I do want this to be hand lettered, not machined. And I may make it more freehand if I can keep it clean enough. I apologize if my camera is shaking. As I'm doing this, it shakes the table, it shakes the camera. Okay. I was thinking of the same sort of pirate ships that are ready to attack them in the blast panel. Use those same ships. That's supposed to be open because that's his thruster trail. So I need to keep that in mind. I know it's really rough, but this helps a lot. Just helps fill in that negative space for me without having to use too much brain processing power to add it in mentally. I did consider having like a planet or something behind him. Also consider putting a space station in the background. Considering the fact that this is a small format when it's in its deliverable form, which is social media as a vertical post. Oops. Yeah, I want to record and document every little bit that I can on here. That way it'll help me make videos later to post on YouTube and everywhere else. Okay, I'm going to stretch a little bit. I'm going to take my hands off for a moment. That whole hour or 27 minutes went by really fast. I'm super sorry yawning and talking at the same time. That has to be the last thing anybody wants to hear today. All right. Excuse me. Let me see if I can do something with my... Probably can't put away my keyboard, can I? Okay. Taking a job in space means crap for compensation or cargo that ain't worth the wear and tear. Gotta erase a lot on this one. Check our streams real quick. Everything is still running. Hour and 32 minutes into our stream. Gonna go for a little bit longer, and I do need to stop. Two hours goes by super duper fast. Can y'all still see okay? Make sure. We'll go off of the camera and not notice. We can't have that. Getting a little bit closer here and do a focus check. As I do, I'm going to wrap up this stream by going through drawing and redrawing in some of my shapes on the final panel here. But let's make sure it's not too blurry. Boop, boop, boop. Let's try that. And we have sort of a little bit of a bird's eye view of the cockpit of one of the pilots, so we can see down into the cockpit a little bit. And I just have real simple shapes in there for that. Once it's shrunk down and, you know, just big enough for an iPad screen or iPhone or something like that, a tablet or mobile device. That detail may not be too important. But the bigger shapes inside of, should I call that a manifold? Wait, some of those parts, not sure if I'm using the terms correctly, but maybe inside where the wings are. I'll call these wings, even though, you know, they're out in space. You don't necessarily need wings. But there's an outer sort of shell of the ship. Looks like a medicine container or something from the top view. Where this darker gray area is heavier armor, and inside of that are more of the mechanical components. Maybe this is a basic ship or something, and each pirate has the same ship but a little bit different. One of these ships is outfitted to cancel out another ship's hyperspace travel. So they thus set up a trap to capture them. But it ends there. So you need to see the next strip to see what happens. And I have sort of a... Really need to find a good spot for my keyboard. It's not going to be in the way. Unfortunately, I have to kind of hide it. Makes it hard to get to. Let me get back down here. There we go. Is that right? Let's try that. Try that focus. Check. Let's bring in the cat. Meow. Hello, Kaiser. That's the name of my cat there. And get the reflection here on the back view pane here, or view glass, window, whatever, the top of the cockpit canopy. And this will need more like detail and stuff like that. Just to kind of define the shapes a little bit better. And I'm just marking out the areas where maybe control panels and stuff like that will appear or will be visible. Appear. And when drawing out these control panels and stuff, I had a lot of practice with this above panel. And I had a fairly different where the paneling was individualized and just sort of random panels sticking out, and I didn't like that. It made it messy to look at, and it made it a little too complex to understand visually what's going on in the picture. So thus I wanted to use, a large shape. There's one panel here sticking out fine. But that sort of breaks up the monotony and sort of symmetry of the paneling. But it'll be like one big shape and then break that big shape down into smaller shapes and keep it that simple. And so what I'm trying to do here is similar to that. I'll zoom in just a little bit more. And it's this line here I need to get rid of. Yeah, if you're just joining me, or you're new around here, and you're checking out what's going on, I'm doing rough drawing, sketching, and cleaning up as I go along. All artwork from characters to vehicles, lettering for onomatopoeia, caption boxes and dialogue boxes, and I've roughly drawn everything in. And I'm still going through adding in bits of detail here and there. Our next stage after this is to go through and just re-outline everything with India ink. Technical pens, quill pens, depends on whether we have organic shapes or hard surface objects in our scene, such as the ships and control panels. But when it comes to faces and maybe parts of the armor that are more like fabric and stuff like that, we'll ink with different tools. Taking a job in space means crap for compensation, or cargo that ain't worth the wear and tear. How the hell did I get both? That's my dumb luck. But the destination is what really piques my interest. Golden Hill Station, where the big guys go to flex their creds. Ha, can't wipe the smile off this face. And then we have the onomatopoeia. Sorry, I wasn't really following the camera around. I was just reading it out loud. The sound effect for what happens when his ship gets pulled out of hyperspace travel. "Welcome to my humble home," said the spider to the fly. And then with the pirate ships in the end, "Cargo pilot, power down, prepare to be boarded." But we don't have a name for this pirate group, which I kept forgetting to assign when after streams and stuff like that, because last week I didn't have an idea what the pirate group was going to be called, and so I just kept leaving it. We'll figure it out later. It's not that important. Well, it's important, but it's not important to have it in at the moment. Okay. So I do have another shape in here where we're going to draw in part of another ship. Yeah, there's that moment when I'm like, you know what? I had the mic off the whole time. I apologize about that. I went through a whole description of everything and talked about things, and my mic was off. So that happens. But I am going to end the stream now, in case that was not broadcasted properly. But I've gotten to a 2-hour stopping point here for this. And then I will continue tomorrow, where we'll bring in some inks. We'll start off our figure study with inking tools instead of graphite. See how that goes. Maybe some ink wash, but I doubt it. And then we'll go into inking out parts of our comic page. The goal is to get this done this week. That way we can post and start setting up the next page, and then getting into some other stuff, our Wolverine fan art, and some spooky business going into spooky season. Thank you guys for hanging out, whether you were lurking. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or you can just use the chat here to ask me questions related to what I'm working on or art in general. Other than that, have a good one.